Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. Hope everyone's well wherever you are. This is one for my dreams for a football team in Italy called Sampdoria. So I hope Sampdoria fans especially, footy fans generally, check it out. And I still think I've got a bit of my cold or flu or whatever it is, but hopefully it'll go away soon. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. And as ever, I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially for fellow footy fans and in particular fans of Italian football, Serie A or things like that. Yeah, I'd love to know what you think about Sampdoria if you're a fan of other teams, like, or what you think of Italian football generally, and like the kit or whatever. I think Italian football kits are the best, even though I'm not that much into fashion, but maybe I'm being a bit biased or prejudiced or whatever. But anyway, here goes. Here's some of my dreams or thoughts on Sampdoria. As someone with mental health problems and a dyslexic person, so as they say, there's a method to the madness. As a dyslexic person and also a mad person who has strange patterns and alliterations and things like that and habits. Anyway, so here goes. So number one, as Sampdoria begins with S, I would love for companies that begin with S also to invest in Sampdoria. That would include Starbucks. It's a huge company, and I think it'd be great. It may be in return for tax exemptions or access to the markets or both, or all sorts of favourable things, as well as their PR. Maybe also Starbucks and others could work with the club Sampdoria to help startups in developing countries, especially South Africa and other parts of Africa. And as it's Black History Month, also I'll include like Black entrepreneurs around the world, especially in developing countries. As it's Black History Month here in the UK, I'd love for Starbucks also to invest in Black British entrepreneurs, startups and SMEs even, but also especially in South Africa, as they had the history of apartheid and things like that, but also Africa generally as well, as it's Black History Month, as I say. But yeah, so I'd also love for them, from a biased point of view, to invest in Sampdoria, and again, companies that begin with S, and also as Sampdoria begin, and also, companies that begin with S. Number two, also as Sampdoria, the first two letters of Sampdoria are SA, as well as Salernitana and Sassuolo. Sorry, I would love for like Saudi Arabia to have like maybe they could have something called Saudia, where they like sort of sponsor football pitches, football clubs and pitches and things like that, and like have spaces for sport and things like that, spaces or places for sport. Sorry, I hope I'm being coherent, but yeah, I did try and plan it in my head as much as I could, but yeah. According to the rules of FIFA, I think, and UEFA, the football governing bodies of Europe and internationally, respectively, they say that you can only own. I think it's UEFA's rules that say you can't own two football clubs that are in the same competition. So with the PIF, which is from Saudi Arabia, and people argue is actually owned by the state or whatever, either officially or otherwise. With them owning Newcastle, there's a debate of whether they could own other clubs like Inter Milan. But since neither Newcastle United or Sampdoria are in the Champions League at the moment, hopefully there's some sort of way they can get around. Or maybe, as I say, there could be an official sponsor where they sponsor football pitches for young players to participate, which I hope will help to improve relations with Italians and Saudi Arabians, or even Arabs generally, through football. And like they could have football pitches back home in Saudi Arabia and in Sampdoria in Genoa or across Italy, where like Italians and Saudi Arabians sort of learn about each other's cultures or histories and play football together, and again improve relations through football perhaps. So maybe they could work on that idea. But yeah, I'd love for Saudi to invest in, as it begins with SA, just like Salernitana and Sassuolo and Sampdoria respectively. Maybe they could have like I say, sponsor football academies, or maybe even unofficially invest in the club or somehow, so they can even buy better players, but especially investing in youth development. Moving on, number three, I'd love for as many companies as possible like to donate football pitches, football kits, and that sort of thing to Italian football teams, just generally, which obviously would include Sampdoria and those other teams I mentioned. Number four, once some invest, as I often say, hopefully more will be inclined to invest in the club or sponsor the club, either officially or unofficially. Like I say, like hopefully Saudia could do so through like an organization called Saudia or something like that, work a way around rules. So if they don't officially own it, they could still own the club unofficially. But yeah, as I say, hopefully as some invest, hopefully more will continue to invest or sponsor the club, and like local politicians and the government and whoever could look at how to attract investment and sponsorship, and like again have things like spaces for sport, spaces slash places for sport, in this case football, where they have like where they encourage people like companies to come in and just create like invest in football opportunities for youngsters in who support Sampdoria and who could hopefully play for the club in the future, especially in Italy, but also possibly overseas as well. Number 5, on that note, as I say, I'd love to hear from Sampdoria fans about what they think, what they would like the club to do, and how the club can connect with the fans, and also how politicians and local politicians or councillors from that area of Genoa could help with the club, like how they could attract investment, or even like Sampdoria fans, how they could put money into the club, how there could be tax exemptions for doing so, perhaps even, or local politicians or councillors or businesses or yeah, companies, businesses, organisations, and even individuals could pour money into the club and that sort of thing. Number 6, again, I'd love for companies that begin with S, especially that begin with SA, like Sainsbury's, a supermarket here in the UK. I'd love for them to invest in Sampdoria as well, and maybe more companies in the future. As I say, yeah, I think it would be interesting. So Sainsbury's did invest in Sampdoria, as well as startups, as well as black startups, as well as something else they could do here in the UK, but also in Africa as well. Sorry, that was a bit of a side note, a bit off topic, I know. But number 7, I would love for Sampdoria, as well as other Italian teams, to connect with Celtic and have a partnership. Like perhaps the same people who invest in Sampdoria could invest in Celtic, and maybe even vice versa. Number 8, I'd love to look at how the club can connect all those involved in the club, like the owners, the sponsors, investors, and whoever else could, board and people like that, C.E.O. and the manager and the coaches and the players could connect with the fans and talk about what they have towards, what they want to work towards as mutual goals, and also how they could tackle prejudice, like racism or sexism or that sort of thing within the club. And perhaps, again, I'd love to hear what people think about each of these ideas. Or, as I often say, like, which are your least favourite and your most favourite? Yeah, which ones you think are, yeah, the pros and cons, and which ones you like least and most, in order or whatever. Yeah, or some ideas that resonated you either for a negative or a positive reason. But yeah, so again, like, it'd be great to hear from the passion, of the Sampdoria fans. Number 9, all these ideas really are mainly from a selfish point of view as an Italian football fan, generally to see Sampdoria do well, and so they're from a point of view of hopefully seeing success on the pitch, most importantly. But I would love for the club to do a lot of good work for people in developing countries and improve relations through football. But again, I hope it'll go back to a mutual benefit, which will benefit Sampdoria as a club. And again, I'd love to hear what Sampdoria fans think about this, all these ideas generally. And number 10, again, I think it'd be really cool to see Sampdoria investing in youth facilities, like getting opportunities for young Sampdoria fans to get into football, which hopefully will benefit the club in the future, obviously, if they play for the club and things like that. And I would love to hear what you think about what could benefit the club, or any ideas you have generally. And I'm out. Peace and love.